Welcome to our Women's Health Seminar. I've got to compete with that. Where we are going to work on today identifying different hormones in the body, how and why they function in our body, what is affected when they're high, when they're low, and things that you can do to kind of help regulate them on your own, as well as in conjunction with your other routines, supplements, healthcare practices that you have at home. Okay, so we are going to start with, there's 5 major ones, okay? So estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid, insulin. Did anyone know that all of these were hormones? Okay, they are.
I didn't think a thyroid was a thyroid.
I didn't either.
It is.
That's the one I was thrown off with.
And it's crazy that little note on the thyroid, it's noted that about 2% of women population have thyroid issues, either overactive or underactive, hypo or hyperthyroidism. That's crap because we don't diagnose properly. So it's significantly higher than that, and women live with thyroid issues undiagnosed. So we're going to go over a lot of these today. So the purpose of estrogen. So estrogen in a female is our main sex hormone. It is what helps us be able to birth children. It also helps with bone density. It helps with our mood, our cognitive function. It helps with our metabolism and our fat distribution as well. All of these levels, when we come into different phases of our lives, get thrown off if we are not tending to them. So progesterone regulates estrogen. These are all linked, okay? So no one is just like floating around by itself. Progesterone regulates estrogen. It helps balance it. It also helps calm our nervous system down. So if we are depleted in progesterone, you can imagine that our nervous system is high and right? It helps with regulating fluid, so our fluid retention, and it also helps balance our thyroid. So they're all linked, right? Our cortisol is our stress level, and a lot of people are aware of this one. You might not be aware of if yours is too high or too low. Oftentimes, both can just feel overwhelming, but this one is affected very often. So this is our stress response, our fight or flight mode. This is also regulates our blood pressure, our blood sugar level. It also helps with regulating our immune system. It is supposed to be high in the morning and low in the evening. That gets thrown off if we work overnight shifts, if we are dragging in the morning and we have a lot going on in the evening. If we had a stressful day, it certainly doesn't come down the way that it's supposed to in the evening. So it can be thrown off very easily. This one is very easily affected by our environment, not just our nutrition or our vitamin levels. The thyroid is very much important. The thyroid helps regulate our metabolism. It helps regulate our immune response. It helps with our body temperature. And so a lot of women wouldn't think that this is why I'm having hot flashes, but that could be why you're having hot flashes. It's your thyroid, not actually your estrogen. And then there is our insulin. Our insulin is what regulates our digestion hormones. So we have ghrelin and leptin, which are hormones in our stomach that communicate with our brain that are telling us, yes, I'm hungry, no, I'm full, something's off, I feel nauseous. We have this gut-brain axis, which is the highway that connects everything in our body. It starts in our gut, it runs to our brain, and vice versa. The best example I have of this is when you get excited or nervous and you feel butterflies in your stomach. That is your brain telling your gut, we're excited, we're nervous, and then you get that response. The opposite of that is you eat crap food and then you feel sluggish and you feel tired or you feel cranky or irritable. That is your gut affecting your brain, and those two things play back and forth. And so your insulin levels will play with those hormones and telling your body things are good, things are not good, things are off, things are on point. It helps with your hunger. It helps. It also will help with estrogen. Okay? So do you see the very fine web intertwined here that all of these are connected,
I need
right?
help with all of them.
So each one of these can be high, can be low, can be depleted. It can be due to lifestyle. It can be due to nutrition. It can be due to illness, disease, whether known or unknown, genetic or not. So all of these things can be off. Now, blood work is always the best way to go because you can actually pinpoint, yes, my levels are high, yes, my levels are low, I can treat them accordingly. But there are so many things that we can do to address them from a natural standpoint, from a lifestyle standpoint, from a food standpoint, that can help balance them without throwing them out of whack. So, each one of these changes as we age, right? So in our, the best way I can point this out is women always say to me, like, it was so easy to lose weight in my 20s, and now I'm 40, and now I'm 50, and I can't lose this weight. When these are off balance, your body's metabolism gets thrown out of whack, right? So if we regulate these, great, but you were probably an asshole to your body for the first couple years in your 20s, maybe into your 30s, right? And your body took a toll. And so now your body's like, I'm gonna take a rest. You do you, and I'm just gonna be here for progesterone when I'm supposed to be up here. Best of luck to you in your night sweats, okay? So that's why it's so important. It is not that it is impossible to lose weight as we age. It is that the equation changes of what our body needs for tender loving care, okay? So for estrogen, how can you tell that estrogen is low? So,
Break your arm during a boxing class. Might be low. I'm just saying.
well, you know, bone density. She broke her wrist in my class last week and didn't tell me. I had to find out on Facebook 2 weeks.
I didn't know. It was 2 weeks ago.
Okay?
I think my estrogen is low.
I think your listening skills are shit too, but that's besides the point. That's not on this board today. Estrogen levels being low often are signaled by unexplained weight gain, especially in the midsection, low libido. A lot of times you will feel water retention in your legs, ankles. Fibroids and endometriosis are also a sign of low estrogen. Now, you do not need to be in your 40s or 50s to have low estrogen. You can be a young female and estrogen can be tampered with, okay? So these things don't just apply as you get to perimenopause age. All of these things play a big role. Estrogen being too high can show up, and often does show up, as hormonal cancer. So breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, those sort of things. One of the best things that you can do naturally to lower your estrogen, and you won't make it too low by doing this, but excess estrogen builds up in the body when our estrogen is too high. It sticks around, and it's like toxic when it's too high. Our sex hormones have to be in balance. Putting fiber into your diet, and if you don't eat enough leafy greens, fruits, and vegetables, and if you're like, no, I eat a pretty good amount, it's probably still not enough, incorporating in a fiber powder. Fiber helps get excess estrogen out of the body. That is one of the best things that you can do, and one of the things that I recommend as a preventative maintenance to young women who hormonal cancers run in their system, in their family. I don't care if you're 15 years old, like, that genetic makeup is on your DNA. It does not mean that you are absolutely going to get cancer. It means that you are predisposed and you need to take care of your health from a preventative maintenance standpoint. Fiber in the diet is one of the best things that you can do. Low estrogen, we're going to figure out why, because these others are robbing them, okay? So progesterone, when progesterone drops, it pulls from estrogen. It's like, please help me, and then it just starts stealing it, okay? So we need to find out what causes low progesterone. Any questions on estrogen?
So if you, because I'm on the estrogen patch, so I'm low estrogen, should I not take so much fiber?
No. Like I said, you're not gonna overdo it.
I don't want to deplete what's going in.
Nope, you're not gonna do it at all. It does not take away estrogen. It only goes around and finds excess buildup.
Oh.
So it's not like you're going to do any sort of damage that is a problem.
So whether you're high or low in estrogen, the fiber is still
Very beneficial. Yep, very beneficial, especially for our gut health.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope. But yeah, great question.
Like how much fiber?
So if you get like a fiber powder, right, just like a scoop a day.
Okay.
The gut health that we have is probiotic, prebiotic, and symbiotic. So that's a great fiber powder.
That one crushed me. Like crushed.
So you can do something more gentle. You can also start with half a scoop. You don't need to do a full scoop. You can start with half a scoop. Anytime you start taking something new in your system, start with half a dose. Make sure that it feels, okay to you. And it doesn't matter if it's greens powder or a medication. Like, find what balances for you, right?
Yeah.
But there are plenty of other options that you can get, like a fiber powder. It doesn't need to be something that has quite as much as that. But yeah, fiber is always good all around. Always from food source first, supplement second. Okay, so progesterone steals from the estrogen. Progesterone is affected, and wait for this, by plastics. So, when I tell you to cut plastics out of your life, stop eating out of plastic Tupperware, please stop heating plastic things in the microwave. Get rid of your plastic water bottles. I don't care if they're Poland Springs or you're like, no, but this one was at like Marshall's and it says like, please drink my water all up and down the side. It's still plastic.
But what about if you buy a case of
No,
water?
no,
Don't
no,
do that.
trash.
So
Nope.
how do you get your water then?
Filtered in glass bottles, in stainless steel. Because here's the thing, the plastics, and I don't care if they say they're BPA free, there's still microplastics leaching into them, right? If your $4 water bottle from Marshall says BPA free, they're lying. I'm gonna tell you right now they're lying to you, okay? So plastics will steal progesterone. It will lower progesterone, all right? And so you're dropping this and causing yourself hot flashes because you just won't give up the Poland Springs water bottles. Seems silly, but it's true, right? Now, I'm not saying you're in the airport and the world is going to end if you have to drink out of a plastic water bottle. Side note, Dasani is like the lesser of all evils if you're in the airport or like need to drink out of a water bottle. But get rid of them on your daily basis, right? They make a big difference, okay? She's like, okay?
Actually, just a tip, when we did that first seminar with changing over to glass.
Yeah.
Burlington Coat Factory.
Oh, all the glass
Like
bottles
amazing.
and stuff.
Not only the bottles, but all your Tupperware. Like I just went there and replaced all of my Tupperware with
Yeah.
glass, and it was so inexpensive.
Yes. Yep. It is. It's. I mean, and it does not need to be expensive, but like the
I'm just
stainless
saying,
steel.
like, that's gonna be like a huge change for me, and I don't know, but like, because.
For a lot of people it is.
Because I buy cases of water, like, in my household, and I know
Get rid
that's
of-
not right, but it's been something that I've been doing,
For
like,
so long.
forever,
Yeah.
which is not good.
Yep.
but How do you?
So we're gonna get those out of your system,
How do you
right?
make that change?
So a filter on your refrigerator, a filter on your sink, a Brita pitcher in your refrigerator. Those are like the best ways to go, right? You can even like we have the tankless water filter. So we have like the water dispenser. The hoses just run off of our sink, and then the machine itself has carbon filters. And so the carbon filters are what like get all the stuff out. And if you live in Bridgewater, you know how terrible the water is. The carbon filters do filter out BPA and PFAS. So,
So like you could actually buy like a water.
yeah, we have like the little water fountain out
system
here.
that you're
Yep.
putting in your house.
Yep, we have the water fountain out here, like I said, and we're not changing out water jugs every
Right,
week.
I don't wanna be doing that.
No, we literally have the hose that taps into our sink, and then it comes with filters on it, and we just change out the filters every 3 months. So that's the best way to do it, is some sort of filtered water system. When we did the women's health seminar before we talked about cutting out the toxins out of your life, right? And plastics and everything. Not only do they lower your progesterone, but they attack your thyroid and they will calcify your thyroid. If your thyroid is calcified, your parathyroid antibodies will attack it, thinking something is wrong. We're going to attack that. And that's where Hashimoto's comes from. And I'm not saying it's the only thing that causes Hashimoto's, but that is where Hashimoto's comes from. Hyperthyroidism. Your body cannot make enough thyroid hormone because it's calcified. Parathyroid antibodies start attacking it, and then you have an autoimmune disease,
Oh, goodness.
right? And I know it sounds silly, but like years and years of adding those things onto you. Think about if you never changed your car filter, and I was like, you need to go home and change your car filter, and you'd be like, okay, yeah, like not a big deal, whatever. But if you didn't change it for 35 years and you took it out, you'd be like, what is this? That's essentially what we do, is we filter poor things into our body and don't get them out. Okay? Any questions on that?
No, just when we did this a few months ago, when we did one of my check-ins, you said get rid of all the plastics. I mean, to your point, my life is Tupperware. Like everything, I eat lunch out of it. I take my lunch, and I swapped it out for glass, and I haven't felt the hot flashes. They're there, but not as bad. But then it's like everything in my fridge comes in a plastic bottle. So how do you?
Right?
like,
So you just slowly but surely triage, right? So
Yeah.
like,
I think go easy
Yeah,
Right.
like-
Start with the things you use the most. The worst is microwaving and plastic.
Yeah.
Like, if you do nothing else from today, just stop doing that.
Yep.
Get rid of the plastic water bottles, right? Yes, everything else is in plastic bottles, but like when I'm in the store, the next time I go, I'm not like wiping out my fridge, right? But I'm like, oh, do I want barbecue sauce in that plastic bottle or that glass jar? Like, I'll get the glass jar one. And you just slowly make those changes, right?
Start
But
making, your brain starts to think about it more.
yeah, and to your point, my mom, I had told her to get rid of the plastics like a while ago, and she did. And then she was home, and she was, she had plastic water bottles at the airport, and then she just kind of like kept following this trend, and she's complaining to me about her symptoms and her hot flashes, and I was like, are you drinking out of plastic again? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, this is why you're feeling like shit. She's like, no. And then she got rid of them, and like 2 days later, she was like, you're an asshole, but you're correct. So, I mean, it does. It makes a difference.
It's little things, like
Yeah.
certain things like gallon of milk. and
Right? And so, the other piece of it,
What do you do with that?
you buy
so
that.
the cardboard, right?
Cardboard, cardboard, got you.
So,
There's a lot to this.
so it cut out
You're not
start with the
allowed-
big wins.
you're not
Like
allowed
small
to-
changes, big wins, right?
Don't come
Yeah.
to my house.
Don't come to my house.
Don't open my fridge.
It's okay.
What if your husband just won't listen to you?
Well, you can talk to Jackie about that as a sidebar because I'm pretty sure George almost divorced her because she went home and like threw everything out and
Go big or go home. I gave it to every piece of plastic he had and donated it to Savers. Every time you open the door, like,
It's all glass.
all the glass, he hates it.
mason jars. Mason jars are like the simplest, cheapest, easy way to do things, right?
Yep, I love it.
They're all sorts of stuff. Okay, so progesterone. Progesterone is often not high unless you are pregnant, right? But low progesterone can be a very big thing. And low progesterone can show up as infertility. And this breaks my heart because doctors don't often tell women this when they struggle to get pregnant. They just struggle in silence. So low progesterone is one that affects us in a lot of different ways. We can also feel very sluggish. We can feel like we have weight gain, fluid retention, because this is helping with our fluid. Our thyroid can be underactive, and we'll learn about what that looks like. We can also feel very like on edge, right? Just because our progesterone. So if you're kind of a cranky bitch, I'm just saying,
No, yeah.
right?
Tell my husband.
So progesterone. And this one is very closely tied to cortisol because of our nervous system, right? So cortisol is our stress response. So we have two nervous systems in our body, our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. Our sympathetic is the rest and digest. We sleep, our body is at peace, it's calm, we digest food. Our body breaks things down. It takes its time, it goes through maintenance. It's like spring cleaning every night. That's when our body is at rest and digest. We are calm. Our body does what it's supposed to reset. When you're a frazzled bitch, that's not happening. So what happens is, if you are in fight or flight, and fight or flight does not need to be like end of the world. Fight or flight can be like, I'm an overnight nurse and I'm always on the go. I'm always at a 10 just because my job is like asks a lot of me. Fight or flight does not need to be I'm angry, I'm frazzled. Fight or flight can just be I don't rest. I'm constantly running, I'm constantly going from thing to thing. I'm not quite sleeping great. That's what fight or flight can look like. If your ass is being chased by a bear, your body does not care to break down food for you. It's going to store it as fat because you're going to need that fat for later, and it is just going to shut down to like major things. Your body's going to be pumping a lot of adrenaline. Your body is going to be working on burning off carbs left and right because you need that high energy, and then everything else is just going to store, right? So this is why nurses who work overnight, people who work overnight jobs, people who don't sleep well, they tend to really struggle with losing weight because your body's metabolism is not breaking down food the way that it's supposed to because your cortisol is too high. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. On top of it, your body, in order to produce cortisol, steals from progesterone.
They're all stealing from each other.
So they do. They don't play well with each other, which is why you need balance and harmony, right? Your body needs progesterone in order to make cortisol. So if you are calm, cool, and collected, and your cortisol level is here, it's not going to steal progesterone. But if you are constantly on the go, 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 or you are a high-stress person, or you have a high-stress job, then your body is going to keep depleting your progesterone in order to make that cortisol that your body is demanding. Okay? You see the web, see the pattern?
Whatever.
They don't play well with each other, so you need to make sure that you're providing your body a good environment to make sure that things are balanced, okay? That being said, when you go to, and this is more on the toxic side of things, when you go to other countries, women don't experience menopause symptoms anywhere near what we do, and it's because of the toxins and chemicals in our products, in our food, in our plastics, things like that. Those things make a big difference. So from a younger perspective, the best thing that I can teach women is to be conscious about cutting out toxins from their system, being conscious of the medications we put into our body, being conscious of the plastics. Because if you're conscious of those things when you're 30, you're not going to pay for it when you're 50, right? And it's never too late to cut those things out, though. It's never too late to make those changes. Like you said, I mean, you cut out plastics and you were like, oh, I feel better, right?
100%.
Yeah, it makes a big, big difference no matter where you are in your cycle of hormone change. But it's just always something good to know sooner than later. So yeah, cortisol is supposed to be high in the morning to help get you going. You're just peachy and delightful for the day, and then you're calm, cool, and collected at night. Raise your hand if you're peachy for the morning and calm, cool, and collected at night.
Not ever.
No one?
Never.
I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes. Raina's like, there's one time when like the sun and the stars align, and I'm like, coffee. No, right? So chances are your cortisol is off, right? There are things that can make your cortisol too low, but oftentimes cortisol is very high, right?
What are the symptoms? Like, what do you feel? when
Yeah,
it's
which is a
high?
great question. So high cortisol is terrible sleep because you're plugged in, you're ready to go, right? Your body is in like fight or flight mode. Midsection weight gain that you just like cannot get rid of, even more so really struggling to lose it despite exercise and proper nutrition, despite good gut health. There is it's the biggest piece is the like poor sleep, midsection weight gain or struggle to lose it because of what I just talked about stealing the progesterone, about your body being fight or flight mode. That's the biggest piece, right? When your cortisol is too high, your adrenals can crash. Too low, I'm sorry. Your adrenals can crash. You just feel almost depressed or anxious. And that can be a very common symptom for so many things. So it does not just mean that your cortisol is low. But your cortisol, like you could feel exhausted all the time, especially exhausted after eating. There's a lot of like exhaustion around low cortisol, right? And it doesn't happen quite as often. Usually it's more higher cortisol. So I would say probably 8 out of 10 people are running on too high cortisol. Some much worse than others. But that is something really that needs to be addressed through mental health and mindfulness, right?
Question, because I feel like I fit into both of those categories. I have the symptoms of the high and the low.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck does that mean?
Well, again, like rather than throwing spaghetti at the wall, we get blood work done, right? To really find out the answers. But there are natural things that we can do, daily activities we can do to help support ourselves and see the changes, right? So if you are somebody who is flip-flopped, you're slow and sluggish in the morning and you're ready to go at night, or you're like your stress level's high at night, right? You feel like you're trying to like undo the day from you when you're going to bed. Your cortisol is probably high. And some of the best things that you can do is to bring it down before you go to bed. Promote your body's natural serotonin levels. Get rid of the blue lights, get rid of electronics before bed. And I know that's easier said than done. You're like, what am I supposed to do? Like stare at the wall? Like, come on. I know all of you,
It is hard.
right? But we gotta detach from those things. Read a book, go for a walk after dinner, even though you're not going straight to bed. Like, find activities that can naturally unwind you down. One of the best things that I can recommend is meditation. And so some people will do a meditation to fall asleep. Like, they will literally put headphones in, or they'll piss their husband off and just play it out loud, whatever, and do a meditation to fall asleep too. I like to teach people to practice meditation so you can actually try and get into it. If you need it to sleep, like that's fantastic. You can find one on YouTube. You can download the Gaia or Calm app. Like they're all great. But one of the best things that you can do is practice meditation. And it doesn't need to be in the evening. It's just in a time where you're not at a 10 and your house or wherever you are can be quiet for you to meditate. It can be for 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be this big, long thing. Right? We do like long, extensive meditations and yoga on Sundays, but just like a simple 5 minutes of quieting your mind is a fantastic practice to bring your cortisol level down. You bring your cortisol level down, your progesterone stops dropping so much. You stop dropping your progesterone so much, your estrogen's balanced. Starting to see the pattern here, right?
So that cortisol, I feel like
It does, it plays a big difference, right? And so when I tell people, when people come into me and they're like at a 10, and they're always stressed, and they're like, yeah, but I'm exercising so often, and I'm eating right, and I'm walking, like, what the hell? Gotta take a chill pill. We gotta, like, bring it down a little bit, right? And that's easier said than done, because we'd rather put in the effort of, like, I'll grab all the healthy snacks from the go, and I'll run here, and I'll run there, and I'll do all these things, and I'll sleep when I'm dead, and I'll go to the gym, and I'll exercise. But, like, that's not what your body needs. And honestly, these people that are really high, especially when they're like, I've been running 4 days a week and I'm doing all the HIIT classes. What you need is walking, meditation, yoga, some strength training. You do not need the things that get your heart rate to a 10 all the time, right? It is great to exercise, but it's the type of exercise that as we get older and our cortisol level kind of gets stuck higher than it should be, that we really need to address. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you all feel like I'm personally attacking you right now?
Yes.
I feel like I should have signed. Cortisol clean.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I got some if you need
So
some.
many
doctors are
t-shirts.
hesitant to test your cortisol, because I will go in and I have a crazy weirdo doctor. I like his nurse practitioner. He's a weirdo, but I would say to him, I was like, dude, I know that I'm out of whack. I had an emergency hysterectomy years and years ago.
So these are thrown
Oh,
off.
I'm completely thrown off. I'm on a patch too, but then I just went in and I'm like, something's wrong with me. I don't know what, I mean, there's a lot, but there's something with a hormone that's just not working. So they are so against, I go, so is it expensive, or is it just opening a can of worms when they test that cortisol level?
Because doctors don't have a pill
Right.
to fix your cortisol.
Right.
So that's what
with your gut too, like, does it
Yep.
matter, like, is it
Yeah, your gut health throws everything off. Yep.
So there's
So
not a
doctors
pill.
don't have a pill to bring your cortisol level down.
And
They
that's
have
the big thing.
progesterone creams and pills.
Yeah.
They have estrogen creams and pills. There's medication for thyroid.
Right.
There's medication for insulin for diabetics. There's no pill for cortisol to calm you down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's CBD, right?
I mean,
So,
and I do
so that's why. But so that's why we do blood labs here. So I do a medicine through nutrition program. So I've spent the last 15 years studying nutrition and, you know, exercise and ways to improve our body overall. But I've spent the last 2.5 years studying functional medicine and nutrition oncology to get deeper into how we can help ourselves be as healthy as possible. I do a medicine through nutrition program where we do blood labs. I will do any blood labs that you'd like, but you know, obviously that fit what symptoms you're experiencing, where we think you might be off, and we get to the root cause of what it is. And then when all these things are here, there, and everywhere, we balance them out. We balance them out through, you know, mindfulness practices. We balance them out through nutrition, through proper exercise, so we know what your body needs, through supplementation, because a lot of times it could be a vitamin deficiency that throws these things off, starts the. What's that?
Minerals, you mean?
Yep, yeah, well, minerals and vitamins are different, but
Oh,
they are
okay.
kind of fall into the same category. But it could be both, right? And so, you know, if your vitamins are off, right, like you could be deficient in magnesium and selenium, which a lot of us are, which could throw this off. And then you know what happens. When this is off, this gets off. When this gets off, this gets off. And then it just turns into this big cycle, right? So they're all connected. Okay? You're all like, I'm screwed.
I have a question about
yes.
the labs. Like, they don't. It's not something that like fluctuates. Like your labs are your labs, right? Like if you can't happen to have like a high cortisol day.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
can.
not-
You absolutely can. When they
So if-
test cortisol, they will usually do a 24-hour test,
Okay, that's what.
right?
Okay.
So you'll test like immediately upon waking, midday, evening. It's usually like a 24-hour round. You'll take them again the next day. There are a couple different ways to test cortisol, but yes, that it is. You can absolutely have a high cortisol day, because cortisol is not like, it's not like the iron level in your body. Iron level in your body is pretty even keel. Like it might be high, it might be low, but it's like pretty even keel. Your kid can come home and be like, by the way, I got suspended. Guess what? Your cortisol is now
Yeah.
up, right? So it does. That one can absolutely
So
change.
it could be like getting your blood pressure taken after you've been chased by
Yes.
a dog. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
Yep.
So it fluctuates.
Yes.
On a daily
Yep.
basis.
Absolutely. It fluctuates throughout the day even.
So how do your labs then help you if like
Yeah.
if it's not if you're
Because
maybe
if
not-
you're low in the morning and high in the evening,
Oh, okay, so it might be
right?
a
We know it's out
pattern
of whack, right? And it doesn't just mean you are chronically high or chronically low, but I can look at your cortisol and adrenal levels, and I can see your adrenals are drained because they're trying so hard to pump this into your body when needed at the wrong time of day.
Okay.
So, yep, great question. And then there is thyroid. So your thyroid, like we talked about, is the hormone that helps metabolize fat in your body. It helps regulate your body temperature. There are so many people that have underactive thyroid because iodine is the vitamin that feeds thyroid. We don't have iodine in our diet in the US, with the exception of iodized table salt, which is not awesome for you, right? So in small amounts, yes, but I'm not going home and just being like, Ashley told me, start dumping that salt on because I need iodine. Not at all the case. You can take an iodine supplement. I have seaweed on a daily basis. There's like these little dried seaweed crackers. They've got like a little sea salt on them. They're super good. But seaweed, kelp, all those things are super high in iodine naturally. And I know I have naturally low thyroid, so that's what I do every day. For people who are like, I won't be eating that, you can take an iodine supplement. But it's good to get your levels tested first before you start supplementing with iodine, right? These are things that you need to know beforehand. It's not like taking a B vitamin where the rest of the vitamins that you took and your body didn't use up, you just pee out. Like iodine can throw off your thyroid, so it's important to know your levels. Low thyroid is struggle of weight loss, low energy, hot sweats, night sweats, that sort of thing. High thyroid is inability to gain weight. So you're really trying. You see skinny people who just like can't gain weight no matter how much they eat. They have a high thyroid. They have heat sensitivity. They are like constantly sweating, right? That's kind of the difference between the low and high thyroid. And again, it doesn't just mean like, oh, I'm struggling to lose weight, so I must have a thyroid issue. Like there's so many things that play at role here. Very important to get your labs tested, but oftentimes it is an iodine deficiency, and if we get it from food, it's okay to incorporate it in. If you take a supplement, you gotta test your blood first. Insulin. Insulin is the one that causes diabetes, insulin resistance. Type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is genetic, or you're born with it. Type 2 diabetes is often or very commonly caused by diet, your inability to use the insulin that your body is giving you. Insulin plays a huge role in your body's metabolism, in fat storage. There's no one diet that fits all. Like I will never tell people this is my go-to diet. It never happens because everybody needs something different. I am not a huge proponent for intermittent fasting though. And in some cases I will recommend it to people, but not often. But I will say my baseline that I tell pretty much everybody is a 12-hour fast at night. Meaning, if you eat dinner at 7 o'clock at night, try not to eat anything, drink water, but try not to eat anything until 7 o'clock the next morning at least, or a little bit later. It takes your pancreas 12 hours to reset your insulin levels. So if you are going to bed and eating dinner at 9:30, or like eating something at 9:30, and then you're waking up at 6 a.m. and starting your day with your coffee and your bagel and whatever, your insulin is all over the place. You do not have metabolic flexibility, and very quickly you're going to slowly but surely cause yourself diabetes or the inability to process insulin, which will cause poor weight because your body's not going to distribute fat properly. It's not going to break down in your metabolism the way it's supposed to. So from a nutrition standpoint, 12-hour fast is always my recommendation, even just for general health, to avoid diabetes, to, proper healthy weight. That's a big thing. And that's hard for a lot of people who work overnights, who are all over the place, people who, I get home late from work and then my day starts early. Like, that's okay. I'm not telling you skip dinner. If you have to eat at 8 o'clock at night, eat at 8 o'clock at night. Make sure it's healthy, but then delay your breakfast tomorrow morning to 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock. Any questions on that? Okay.
I feel like that's doable.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, people who do
Think about it.
15 to 20 hour fast, like,
Yeah, I don't know if I
there are pros, there are cons. It's a bit extreme for me, but for some people, it is what they need. I will only recommend that when it's needed, but from a general health standpoint, 12-hour fast is always great. Okay, here's what's wrong with you. How do we fix it? Okay, so there are a lot of different imbalances, right? That's not what I need. There are a lot of different imbalances. We need to know, like again, from a blood work perspective, it's very important to know. But from what I talked about today, there are things that you're like, no, I'm definitely low in progesterone. No, I'm definitely high in estrogen. Or, my family does anybody's family have a history of hormonal cancer, ovarian, breast? Okay, a couple of you. So you are somebody who should not consider hormone replacement therapy when the time comes. Hormone replacement therapy is adding estrogen into your body, which means you probably already have high estrogen naturally from a genetic standpoint. Excess estrogen can lead to cancer, and that's the point, right? So keep that in mind. It's not to say that you could not do hormone replacement therapy if you have hormonal cancer in your lineage. Often doctors will not do it. You could certainly take a progesterone without taking an estrogen, monitored by a doctor, but if it runs in your family, the first thing that I recommend to you is incorporating fiber into your diet. More fruits, more veggies, maybe even a fiber powder. From a low estrogen standpoint, there's a lot of things that we can do. We can eat foods that are, soy is hard in this country. Finding organic soy is very hard, but eating tofu, eating soybeans, finding good sources of organic food, again, welcome to our struggles in this country of having, foods that are not organic. But those are some of the things you can do. There's tons of supplements and things that you can take if those apply to you. From a progesterone perspective, obviously because these are tied, making sure that your cortisol is in check is what's going to help these two stay in balance as best as possible, as well as cutting out plastics, right? That will help with the progesterone, making sure your cortisol is balanced so it's not stealing from your progesterone as well. Like I said, the only time you really have high progesterone is if you're pregnant, and there's nothing you can really do about that. Thyroid is a very big one, but this one I really, really recommend people get tested if you feel like you have low thyroid or you have really struggle with weight, testing your antibodies. Oftentimes doctors, and we just talked about this, oftentimes doctors will just test your thyroid, your TSH, T3, T4, which is just like tip of the iceberg. And all those things can be okay, but your thyroid can be out of whack and they will not show. So when I do blood labs with people, I am always testing their parathyroid antibodies, because that's the one that will show whether it is overactive or underactive. If you have an autoimmune disease, I just had a woman a week ago. She's been complaining to me for months. I'm doing all the right things. I'm lifting 4 times a week. I'm exercising. I'm eating healthy. I'm sticking to the plan. I'm gaining weight. I feel swollen. Like, what is happening? My thyroid is fine. My doctor told me my thyroid is fine. It's fine. She tested it. I was like, I call bullshit. We tested her parathyroid antibodies. Under 50 is normal. Hers was 1,800. That is a signal of Hashimoto's. And no one had told her, and her doctor just kept telling her, your thyroid's fine. It's fine. So now we have her starting on a whole list of supplements, foods, and lifestyle change, so that way we can get that under wraps, as well as a natural thyroid medication. Synthroid and levothyroxine are the 2 synthetic thyroid medications for when you have underactive thyroid, which is very common. And they're not great. For some people, they are needed. If you've had a thyroidectomy, if you've had your thyroid removed from a medical perspective because you needed to, they will put you on them because you need to be on them for life. There is a natural alternative, and oftentimes it is much more absorbed by the body than the synthetic versions. So there's a medication called Armour. It is like natural desiccated thyroid, and your body absorbs that so much better. That will help regulate your body, because what happens when you have Hashimoto's or low autoimmune and your parathyroid is out of whack, your body is attacking your thyroid. You're never going to produce enough no matter how much you try to eat the right foods or you try to sleep well, or you can't meditate that shit away. So there are natural medical alternatives to those things. And your insulin is very much food related. It is also linked to your cortisol, but very much food related, making sure that you are eating foods that are supporting your body. So this is common knowledge, but it's always good to say 1,000 times over again. Eating natural foods, whole foods, fruits, veggies, lean meat if you are not vegetarian, staying away from pastas, breads, refined foods. Even if you're like, oh no, but this This bag of chips says it's all natural and it only has 2 ingredients, like sunflower oil and sea salt. Like, nothing that comes in a package is like 100% like, this is fine because I got it at Trader Joe's. Like, that's not how it works, okay? Whole foods are always the way to go. Eating the rainbow, those are the biggest things. Eating the rainbow, each color of food that the earth produces has different phytochemicals. Foods that are orange, so carrots, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, they are high in carotenoids. They help with heart health, eye health, cognitive function, because all of those are found in orange foods. Purple foods like purple potatoes, plums, grapes, all of those things. They have quercetin and resveratrol, which are great for allergies, for heart health, for weight management. It's our new neighbors knocking at the wall.
I was like, heard to be going.
It's a brewery being built. All good things happening. So there are a million different supplements, minerals, vitamins that we can take to balance these things, coupled with lifestyle, mindfulness, stress management, cutting out the electronics at the end of the day, working in meditation, knowing that walking and breath work are literally just as important, if not more, than exercise and running and HIIT classes. They are just as valuable, coupled with strength training. Okay, so what questions do you guys have, either on this stuff or for your own?
Like for these labs, does your insurance cover that, or do they not at all?
No, so for the lab work that we do, so we have a medicine through nutrition program. It is a 3-month program. It's $329 for the month, and that includes your labs. So I'll do all your labs that we need to be done in those 3 months. We'll do them at the beginning. We'll do them at the end. We'll make all the necessary changes that we need to through supplement, through lifestyle, through food. We cover everything. We make sure that we're looking at your metabolic panel. So is your metabolism working well? Are your vitamins in check? If you are having hormonal issues, or you're at an age where you might start having hormonal issues, we'll look at hormones. If you are having thyroid issues, we will check your thyroid. There are just, I mean, I can literally grab any blood lab that, you know, is indicative of what you need or what you're hoping to find out. For the sake of this seminar, we are offering the Medicine Through Nutrition program for $299 a month instead of $329 a month. So if anyone was interested and wanted to sign up for that, it'll be $299 a month for those 3 months. We'll cover all your blood labs. We'll get all the stuff done that you need to and help you get on track. If you go to your doctor and you ask them, hey, I want this lab done, hey, I want this lab done, there's a 50-50 chance they might hold them for you, but then they also might not do anything about the results. They might be like, no, it's fine. And I will tell you 99% of the time when they say it's fine, because it's like this close in the green, close to being in red, they're like, nope, that one's fine. And it's not. So that's what we really look at, is like, what is throwing these things off? How can we optimize your health? Something doesn't have to be wrong in order for you to improve your health. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
So you said the more natural help for thyroid issues, it's called
Armor. It is prescribed. It is doctor prescribed, but it is desiccated thyroid, and it is the natural version of Synthroid or levothyroxine. And if you're on Synthroid or levothyroxine, you can talk to your doctor about switching. There is a conversion for you to switch from one to the other. And like I said, 99% of the time, people's bodies respond to it much better. They don't hold on to weight because of it, and it is much better absorbed, so their thyroid levels out a lot better than it does on Synthroid. Because Synthroid still will not bring your thyroid up to where it needs to be for a lot of people. It sometimes does, but not always. So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
More kind of personal, like the week before my period, I am been told I'm not the nicest person in the world, and I think he's ready to divorce me once a month. And I literally feel like I hit a cliff. Like, I'm
Yep.
doing good.
So here's
I'm
what
checking
happens.
boxes, and then I literally am going downhill. I'm the cravings, everything bad is up there, including the bitchiness.
So,
Leave you alone, that's what I do.
His
I mean, we
breathing-
love
his
you.
breathing annoys me.
Your
His
yeah.
present just
I'm gonna be
And
in
it's
this
only
room,
like-
don't come near me.
like 2 days.
Mhm. Yep.
But those 2 days, it's like how many
So-
divorce lawyers are in the area?
Here's why.
It's just like,
Because you have 4 weeks in your cycle, and each one is a different phase.
yeah.
Your levels, if you've ever looked at, and I'm sure none of you have, this is what I do in my spare time for fun. I read medical books. I need to get out more. Your levels, your progesterone, your estrogen, and your androgen all do different curves throughout the 4 weeks of your cycle, right? So at one point, your estrogen might be here and your progesterone is here, because think of it, your cycle is for making children, right? And so at that time in your cycle, the levels need to be different for your body to be able to replicate cells and say, okay, now it is time to build a fetus. So the week before your cycle starts, your progesterone drops. One of the symptoms of progesterone dropping is PMS. So the best thing that you can do, there are topical progesterone creams, like natural, not synthetic.
Yep.
There are synthetic. I recommend the natural, and I can send you a link to one if you want.
Yep.
You do not need a prescription for them. You put like a pea size on your forearms once a day, only for those days. It is not something you want to use, right? She's going to like lather up. Am I pleasant yet?
Can I buy that in bulk for my basketball team?
And it's
Try having 30 girls.
Just put it in a spray bottle and
Right?
go around.
walk around, somebody's being bitchy. Yes. So again, it is not something you are supposed to use 24/7. It is not recommended for long-term use, but it is used for a couple days in that specific week of your cycle to raise your progesterone. So like I said, if you just have naturally low progesterone, don't start using this cream every day. Not ideal, because it can throw off your your cycle in whack, and that's not what you want, right? But to use it 3 to 5 days in that specific time frame, you just take a little dollop, put it on your forearms, and because progesterone is absorbed much better through the skin than it is any other way. So, how are you? I'll be with you in just a few minutes, but you can come join us if you want. She's like, I don't want to learn about
I
that.
have a question.
So, yeah, so I can send you a natural version of a progesterone cream.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have not had my period since November, but I still feel like I know when my period's due, and I'm sane, like,
Yeah, you can still
So do I
find
still
that
do-
cycle. Yep, and you can kind of follow that feeling. You kind of have to take like a
still
month or
use
two to
that
find.
cream?
Yeah, yep. As long as you don't have hormonal cancers that run in your family, again, that's not, you've been tested for that.
I mean, my mother had breast cancer.
So have you ever done the hormone testing, like BRCA1, BRCA2 genes? So I recommend that. Before you use any sort of hormonal product, whether it be topical, pill, patch, whatever it may be, get tested for those first, because you don't want to throw, and it's more estrogen related, but still, you don't want to throw your hormones off in a way that could literally replicate cancer cells. So again, why it's important to get tested. Genetic testing is super important. And anyone, no matter what age you are, if you have hormonal cancers that run in your family, very important to do BRCA1, BRCA2 testing, because that is the gene mutation. If you don't have those genes, you're safe. Some doctors still will not do hormone replacement therapy with you, and that's okay. You can still do things with progesterone, but I would get that testing done first. Any other questions?
Yeah, last question. I've gone down that rabbit hole of like alternatives to hormone replacement therapy, and there's all these like supplements like Happy Hormone, and there's like a million of them. Is there anything to that, or is it all crap?
Yeah, yep, no, so it is not, think of it this way. If you open the window for a light breeze versus you put on an industrial fan, they're both creating wind, they're both cooling the room down. One's just doing it at a much intenser pace, right?
Yeah.
The synthetic versions are the industrial fan. Using herbal supplements is much more subtle, but absolutely worth it, because you can use them much more frequently in without having to worry about like, this isn't great. So yeah, there's lots of supplements, vitamins out there that kind of support a healthy hormone cycle for either women who are in perimenopause, in menopause, or postmenopause. And they're all herbs and supplements. Black cohosh is one of the best ones for regulating hot flashes. Valerian root, you could use kava kava.
Is there what you'd recommend that has like
All
the
of
things you
them?
need?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I'll send them to you guys. So I have a one-page printout that kind of like more or less summarizes things that you can work on to improve all these, that I will send to each one of you. And I'll include a link to a couple supplements. But yeah, a couple of the vitamin recommendations, absolutely.
Can you take the black cohosh if you're on an estrogen patch? If you're already being monitored, does that hurt taking a supplement?
No, black cohosh is a natural herb.
So you can take that.
The black cohosh is more to prevent the night sweats,
Yeah.
less to affect your estrogen.
Oh, okay.
So, yep, you can take black cohosh. Yeah. Any other questions? No?
How do we
Okay.
sign up for that whole blood work thing? Because
She's like, yeah, you absolutely can sign up for it. So, we can sign you up today. I have a lady I have to chat with right after. But if anybody else is interested, like I said, it's, we do your blood labs. We do like a very comprehensive intake on all the things that you're dealing with from a health perspective, all of your goals that you want to accomplish, things that you want to work on, making sure that, we're taking into consideration any health issues that you have going on, any medications that you're on, related or unrelated to what you're looking to work on. We order blood labs. The blood labs I order online. They get shipped to your house. Some labs are just saliva tests rather than blood tests.
I was gonna say, how do you get the blood out? What do
No.
you mean?
Chrissy's at home like, how do I do this? I missed biology 101. You go to a lab. So
Okay.
there are there are directions in the email that you get after. And you go to a local lab. Usually they send you to an urgent care facility like close to your zip code. So like people in this area 99% of the time will go to the urgent care in Bridgewater by Roach Brothers.
So you bring the little thing with you.
You bring your little kit, they do it, they send out the labs, you get emailed the same day I do all of your results, and then we both have your results. You can send them to your doctor if there's follow-ups that you need so they have them on record. You can teach your doctor that you're taking a hold of your own health and doing things to make sure that,
And in
you
the
stay on
3
track.
months, how many times did you do those labs, did you say?
We'll do it at the end. Anything else that still seems off, we'll test again at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, because we want to make all those changes in between.
Okay.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in doing the medicine through nutrition, let me know. We can get you signed up and we can book your consultation to kind of go over everything. Do you guys have any other questions on what we went over today?
Thank you so much. Very good.
Yeah, you're very welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you gonna do these like once a month?
We do different